In this episode, we look at the forthcoming climax to the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Infinity War Part 2 and the different theories.
We also cover Doctor Who, X-Files, Lost, and work out why sci-fi has such a weight of expectation from its fans.
George Cast!
Are you okay?
Sorry, it's not quite the normal deep George Cast.
George Cast?
Sorry. I can't say George Cast.
Hello and welcome to George Cast with me, Joe Bowden, and this guy.
Yay, Taylor! Yay, Taylor!
Yay, Taylor.
I seem to have forgotten how to say the word chill. Sorry.
You forgot how to say your own name?
Yeah.
Well, you know, we're getting old now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what now I can't even speak.
Too much coffee.
Far too much coffee. Well, we're doing Sober September, so...
Need to ramp up everything else.
somehow we need to increase
caffeine intake.
Yeah, so anyway...
what have we been watching, Joe?
What have we been watching recently? We binged the whole of the second season of Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events.
We did, yeah.
We have to do it in a deep voice, because everyone on that show has a deep voice.
A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Not everyone, because there are some people without deep voices in that too.
I really like that series. I think it's really fun, and I haven't read the books, so I'm probably missing out on certain aspects, but the way they do it...
I think it's really well done.
Yeah.
And it's something that, like, we're both 35 and enjoy it. Even though it's obviously aimed at children, but this season had quite a few weird sexual innuendo nods to, like, going, we know you're watching this, grown-ups.
Yeah, I think they maybe realised that their demographic was...
People watching it with their kids.
Yeah, they were probably aiming for, like, the 12, 13, 14, but I think they've probably found that it's...
8-year-olds and their parents, or people who are childless at 35.
Binge-watching childless people. Childless people. But yeah, I find the plotting and the narrative device, which I imagine is from the books, way they do it, they tell you at the beginning of the episode, this is going to be horrible. You're not going to get your way. You're not going to get a nice ending to this. Yeah,
that whole Lemony Snicket narration thing is, from what I can tell, is very much taken directly from the books.
But then you're watching an episode and you're going, oh God, they're going to get out. Yeah, they're going to get it. Oh my God, someone's... And then you know already that they're not.
They've told us that this isn't going to end well.
But
you just distrust him. He's just Patrick Warburton, so distrusting.
He is.
Or distrustful.
Distrustful. But yeah, and it's one of those shows where... We talk about a lot of times with films, and they say, oh, we had so much fun doing this.
Yeah.
And that's usually a bit of a kind of, that's not going to be great to watch then. Whereas I genuinely, they seem to be having just a ball in, the sets are fantastic, and the whole look and the ethos, and all of these people coming in, you've got quite big actors coming in occasionally to be...
Yeah, it's people who've probably, gone... I want to be in something that my kids can watch.
Yeah. And it just and that my kids can star in
MPH's case, yeah. Wasn't about star.
And wasn't his partner in as well? So my whole family can join me on set. And but I really enjoy that side of it, of you're watching it and it looks great. They've got that old Hollywood feel of these ludicrous sets that are obviously sets.
Yeah, I really like that mixture of quite obvious fakeness, but also got these real moody. It's like kind of Tim Burton meets 1920s silent films.
German Gothic. There's a lot of the stuff in the city this season was very inspired by those kind of Dr. Caligari and stuff like that. They're really interesting, intricate sets where there's a lot of forced perspective and stuff like that. I find that side really enjoyable, and as I said, the kind of narrative device and the way they just okay, we're 35, so we're not guessing, we're just kind of rolling with the enjoyment of it. But that's quite fun sometimes, of not having to sit there kind of overthinking stuff and just going along with it. And it's I really enjoy that aspect of it.
Yeah, me too. And I also really like that the overarching theme is adults are stupid.
Yeah.
Don't trust them. We don't know shit. We're also just trying to work out the world.
Exactly. I think it's got some really nice correlations to today's political landscape.
Without it being really obvious and without it being like a brainwashing tool for kids and stuff. It's just it's almost like a be skeptical thing.
It's very much be skeptical and understand that things are not going to go your way.
Yeah, and trust yourself. Trust what you know about yourself.
Which I feel like I remember a lot of that being from when we were young. There was a lot of kind of the films that came out. So, like, we're talking about Tim Burton films. When you watched Beetlejuice when you were far too young to watch Beetlejuice, stuff like that, and films like Heathers and stuff like that, where you were like, wow, these came out, and I was watching them probably far too young, but they were, again, telling you, yeah, the world isn't going to work in the way that you expect. It's not fluffy like Disney film. It's going to be a bit darker and a bit shitter than that. And I think it's quite a good message to have at the moment, especially with the distrust of adults, distrust of authority, distrust of banks, distrust of the media. I think those are good lessons for kids to learn over the last 10 years.
It's a good story to be telling in 2018 and what was it, 2017?
2017,
season 1. So they've already shot season 3 and they're finished, so they wrapped up, so it's only got one more season to go. But I'm already like, I kind of want more, but also I do like it when people have a finite timeline, but because it leaves you wanting more. That's good.
Also, it can't go on too much longer, because there were definitely a few points this season where I was like,
there's only so many times you can kind of constantly go.
Yeah, I would. Yeah,
that unresolved kind of climax thing.
So I think 3 is good, and also budget-wise, it must be quite a big budget. It's got pretty solid cast in terms of names, and a lot of the series is directed by Sonnenfeld, who used to be a Hollywood director. I can't remember when his last film was. But he was like all Men in Black and all of that kind of stuff. So you can see the kind of through line from his enjoyment of that pulpy,
old style storytelling,
the wackiness. But I think 3 is good. I think it's long enough for it to.
Also, just for the point of like your 3 main stars are all children, and they're going to outgrow those parts. Can I just take a moment to recognise how awesome Sunny is? Honestly, I know she's like, I don't know, 2, but so cute. She makes that show.
She does.
She's great.
She's pretty right.
I hope that she's just literally just going, and they just make something of whatever she's doing at the time. But it's super cute.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so I feel it's one of those ones that's been a bit slept on, probably because of the age bracket. It does feel a little bit children-y at times, and at other times it's like, this is... A lot of people would not let their children watch it, but I think it's got a lot of merit to it.
Well, it's weird because it's like it's got a lot of the darkness that the later Harry Potter films have, but it's got so much more comedy to it. I think it's a very specific type of child who would watch this.
I think so, but I also think it's because the Jim Carrey films on Netflix as well in the UK, it often comes up, and I think a lot of people went, I watched that and it was meh, because they tried to cram
people didn't like the film adaptation.
They tried to cram so much of the story into an hour and a half film, and when you watch this series, because I had no idea of Lemony Snicket until the Jim Carrey film came out, and we watched that and we're like, it's got some,
it seemed a bit lost,
and now you watch this and go, because they were trying to fit this world into a tiny film.
Well, it's like Golden Compass and what's it called? His Dark Materials. What's the first book called?
Northern Lights.
Northern Lights. Yeah, like the difference between those two. Like you've got
I think it's good, solid viewing. I think it's enjoyable. I think more people should see it. Hopefully.
Yes.
That's what we're saying.
Okay. So we have been watching many other things, but they are for a, I'm not even going to say top secret project. They're for the next part of our little sitcom miniseries. So those thoughts will be coming to you soon.
We have ingested some sitcoms, and it's going to be interesting to get to grips with them. Some of them are quite major, and we are very much looking forward to giving our 2018 thoughts on those.
Wow, so cryptic.
Talking of cryptic. So we rewatched Infinity War,
Part 1.
which came out on DVD and all of that kind of stuff, video on demand, very recently. And we rewatched it for the first time since the cinema. So this was our second watch of the film. And what we wanted to ask when we came off the back of it is, can Stephen McFeely and Chris Markus, the writers of Avengers... McFeely?
Sorry, such a good name.
Can the writers of Part 2 actually deliver? Like, how do they, as screenwriters, satisfy that much hype?
So much drama.
Like, there is, like, since it's been released, I have seen, not watched many, but there have been so many articles and video theories and all of these kind of ideas about the theories, and with on-set reports and then people dropping hints and stuff, and you're just going like, the hugeness of what people are expecting and what theories there are out there is just, I'm going to use the word, unprecedented. I feel in Hollywood cinema.
Yes.
It's definitely been there in TV. I feel like we've had
Lost
that kind
definitely had that all over. Yeah.
Lost, X-Files, quite a few other kind of sci-fi series.
No, everyone had lost interest in the X-Files by the time that happened.
you have gone the other way with X-Files.
They were flogging something that their main audience had already gone off, whereas everyone's still very much tuned into this, and they were to Lost.
But it's not happened in a film before that I know of. Like,
not on this sort of scale. This is the 19th film.
This was 19 and
Ant-Man and the Wasp was 20.
20 films.
I can't believe there have been that many.
20 films over 10 years in 3 phases. I mean, that is ridiculous.
Ridiculously good.
Yeah, like... But what was quite nice, and we're going to confess, we rewatched that on the Friday night, and on the Saturday night we rewatched Black Panther for the first time since the cinema. And wow, they stand up.
Oh my God, I really enjoyed rewatching those. And I saw so many different things that I hadn't picked up on as well, which was really nice. And that there is that much to it. That, a lot of films don't stand up to a second viewing.
No.
But both of these were still really enjoyable. And I still found myself getting tense, even though I knew what happened in both films. I was still like, oh no, will they do that in time? Now, obviously in Avengers... Yeah. They don't, but in this,
and both films, definitely rewatching them, you're kind of following the villains a lot. Like, definitely for me, like when I was rewatching Black Panther, just kind of really investing in the scenes with Michael B. Jordan, because at the cinema I was kind of just so wowed by Wakanda and the look and the feel and just following the story. Whereas this time I was like, I'm going to really follow the minutiae of his role and stuff like that, and then doing the same with Thanos, of kind of going, and it's really interesting. Like, that's why they're so rewatchable and they stand up, is both those villains are more than 2-dimensional, more than 3-dimensional even, I'm sorry, like they're like multi-layered in such a unique way for big budget blockbusters.
Well, yeah, we've been trained over our cinema going years to believe that that baddies are 2-dimensional. Baddies.
Yeah.
And they're just they're a plot device.
Yeah.
So we've kind of learnt to not pay them too much attention. They're just going, that's the person they want to defeat, and that's it. So it's really refreshing to have their parts not just sort of fleshed out, but to a point of, I really understand why they feel this way. It's so important. But in films like this, like big budget action movies, that's not something we've really had before. No. Like, if you think back to like Die Hard, I don't give a shit like why they want to do it, really. I mean, he lost his brother, okay, but I don't care about his brother. And
I mean, Alan Rickman, come on.
There are other ways to handle that, to channel that anger.
Yeah. And I think also that to have them not only in the films as multi-layered and stuff, but to impact the wider world. So what Killmonger brings to Wakanda, and what he brings to that storyline, and what he brings to all of the characters, so what he confronts them with changes the entire MCU.
Totally.
It brings Wakanda out. It opens up every. So
yeah, if Wakanda don't interact with the rest of the world, then they cannot beat Thanos.
So
there's a reason why that last battle in Infinity War is in Wakanda.
But isn't that completely unique in that it wasn't just a one-off baddie that does everything? It's like, no, I'm genuinely impacting the wider world, and not in that kind of retcon way like they did with Spectre of, I am the orchestrator of all your pain, and like, oh yeah, no, he was behind everything that's come before because like it's like, no, that's shit. Like, just actually have them impacting what, and it's like what Thanos has done, and you know, his overarching thing, and I find that really interesting.
Well, both films also have such bigger, wider connotations. Like, if you strip down those stories to what those themes are and what they really mean, is in terms of, for Black Panther, it's about, if we don't look outside of ourselves and start helping people, then everybody fails.
Yeah.
And if you come down to Infinity War, it's, we've got much bigger problems to face as a world
than just
that we have to take some action on.
Yeah.
And they're both all about kind of working together, but Thanos's raison d'être is so in line with climate change.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, there's too many people, there's too much, we're infinite resources, you know, all of that kind of idea, yeah.
Exactly.
Which is very, interesting.
Much bigger stories there. But I love that it's not really hammered home. It's not like, everybody look at this.
It's not Avatar is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a much better Avatar.
Yeah. So I think...
Sorry, James Cameron, I know you're working hard on bringing out 2, 3 and 4, but give up, they've done it in the MCU.
So I think the big thing, after 10 years, 20 movies, 3 phases, all of this stuff, is the weight of expectation. So that level of expectation on specifically those 2 writers, because they've got to not only satisfy the hype of MCU fans, so people that have watched all these 20 films and have studied them and kind of, oh, I've seen this artifact in the back of a scene, and that means that this person's somewhere in the world. They've got to satisfy all of that. Then they've got to satisfy the comic book fans, because they're a very different breed. You know, there are people out there that have read all the Thor comics but don't particularly like the films, and then there are people that love Chris Hemsworth but don't read the comics. So totally different breeds there. And then they've got to satisfy the general cinema goers who just want to watch an action film on a Friday night with
who
Robert Downey
bothered
Jr.
about the whole mythology. They just want something that can exist on its own and be enjoyable and understandable, because you know, you've got to understand that not everyone's going to be like, I want to watch every single 19 film.
So that screenplay not only is taking into account all of those people's weight of expectations,
so many different audiences,
but then it's also got the mythology that they've created over 20 films that have tried to have their own, you know. Taika Waititi said he wasn't given any parameters. He was able to write the story, go with the story. I
don't know how much I believe that, because so much of what happened in that film ties so perfectly in. But when did they start writing Infinity War? When did they write Ragnarok?
Black Panther, as we've already said, has such an impact on Infinity War. But again, Ryan Coogler is very much like, I was able to take the direction I wanted to take. Now we know that there's been a few times in Marvel where they won't allow someone to take the direction they want to take. So there's obviously some overarching
ideas. Yeah. So and also, like, Black Panther and Infinity War 1 was shot concurrently. So they couldn't have been too influenced by Black Panther because it didn't exist. Yeah. But yeah, it fits. It's so clever.
So that's what we're really interested about, is how do you sit down in front of a blank page and put onto the screen something that might begin to satisfy some of those people,
and have the gall to say that nobody has guessed what's happened.
Yeah, so that's what you told me. They come out and said that, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, because I remember that happening with Lost. I remember Lindelof and...
I will never trust Damon Lindelof ever again.
And they came out and they went...
I think J.J. Abrams was saying it.
We've read all of the message boards and no one's guessed it yet. And it was like, during the first season, I remember being on the message boards and someone said they're dead and they're in limbo. And they didn't quite get every aspect of it, but there was an idea out there.
It's purgatory.
Yeah.
Was basically what it was.
And it was just really interesting because they completely lied, didn't they? Like,
yeah,
someone did get it, and so that's what I'm interested.
Honestly, they couldn't possibly have said, "Yeah, you get it, you got it." But also, we need to.
I love the idea of that.
Yeah. Oh, you got it.
Oh, yeah. Well,
we're going to carry on making it, but yeah, you know what happened.
It'll still be really fun until the last episode, but.
Or was it just they didn't change it? They didn't adapt it.
I think they did in certain ways. And they kept adapting it, and they kept bringing in new things, and it's like...
Would you say they wrote themselves into a corner? Oh God, if this was a web page right now, I'd be drawing a hyperlink. I'd be adding a hyperlink to that page.
Check out our previous episode. But yeah, it's...
yes, but yeah, so we've got to use that experience and apply it here of... People may well have, and they cannot possibly say, yeah, you got it.
I mean, there are so many thousands of theories out there.
But also, you could just not say anything. You don't have to say no one's guessed it yet. So, yeah. Anyway.
So, with some of the theories, let's go into some of the theories. I mean, as I said, there are thousands out there.
Yeah, and let's just be fair here. We may actually influence what happens with this discussion because they have not filmed.
They've not filmed
the end of Infinity War Part 2.
And Feige, Downey Jr., they all listen to this podcast, so,
Obviously. As does James Cameron. I've already sent him a message in this
Jim Cameron
episode. Jim
Cameron.
Oh, Jimmy.
But yeah, so we've kind of looked into some of the theories and come up with some of the theories ourselves and stuff, and there are so many out there. What are some of them, Jibbo? Just some, like that. Just some of them.
Just throw out a few in the next 10 seconds.
So the big ones obviously revolve around Doctor Strange. His very specific... there are 14,500,605.
Yeah,
okay.
Theories.
And only one of them...
Outcomes.
Only one of them we win. And so lots of people are looking into that. Did he curse the Eye of Agamotto to do something to Thanos at some point down the line? Did he, has he seen something in the Vision? Why is Tony Stark so important to keep alive? Obviously...
Are you saying that he doesn't just really like him and wanted to save him?
He just really wanted to keep Tony Stark's career going, so he's like...
He's a big fan of Stark Industries.
Yeah, I think so.
The new direction it's
He was the only other one with a goatee, so he was like, we've got to stick together, goatee brothers.
But yeah, so, yes, he's purposefully stopped Thanos from killing... Tony Stark. So a
lot of people think that there is going to be some point where Iron Man has to sacrifice himself for the greater good, which is something that's been seeded since that first Avengers film and all of the kind of stuff with Pepper Potts of putting himself there and putting himself...
Yeah, and he's been learning how to be less selfish and more selfless. His whole arc. Yeah. So...
and the fact that probably Marvel would have to sell off half of Disney to give him another contract that would keep him on for that long. So they're probably like, yeah, maybe go now.
Well, yeah, because all their contracts are all the original characters' contracts are up for renewal now.
Yeah,
after this film.
And I don't think Chris Evans wants to carry it. Some of them say they want to carry
But that, again, deflection tactics.
Yeah. And this is it. This is what I think we've talked about a lot of. Everything that keeps coming out, like, oh, Tom Holland spoilt something, and oh, Samuel L. Jackson's talked about Captain Marvel knows is... all these people are putting stuff out to the media, and you kind of go, yeah, if you're basing your theories on that, that's what Marvel want you to do.
Yeah.
Right? They are letting Tom Holland spoil this. This has come out in an interview because they want you to think that.
Well, the fact that they're just doing the shooting the end now makes me think that anything that has been spoiled in inverted commas before now can't really be trusted because people wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Tom Holland wouldn't probably still have his job if he really had spoiled things. as good as Spider-Man as he is, I'm sure Disney could sort that out.
I think they've probably got a department called Smoke and Mirrors, and it's like, let's get everyone thinking it's this.
Oh, what a cool department to work in. I work in the Smoke and Mirrors department at Disney. Hi, I'm head of Smoke and Mirrors at Disney.
But that's what, like, so many of the ones that I've seen, like, oh, not everyone's dead. Like, all the people that turn to dust are trapped in the Soul Stone, and so they're all going to be, you know...
What voice is that? Who are you being?
I'm being Screen Rant or something. Or we're seeing Thanos' dream, and actually he never got the Soul Stone because he didn't love Gamora, so when he threw her off the edge, it was an idea, a dream that he got the thing. Or actually, Bobby was actually in the shower all along, and Pam just dreamt it all, and... Wasn't it Dallas?
Oh, God. I was like, who's Bobby?
But it's that type of idea, isn't it? It's like, we can go from the sublime to the ridiculous with the theories. And so many of them seem like they're like, oh, that's really legit. But then you're like, I just feel like we haven't quite hit the nail on the head. You know, obviously, one of the big things is we know that all the people that turn to dust are going to come back. That's not a spoiler.
Well, yeah.
That's just good sense. Like,
well, we know for a fact that they're filming another Spider-Man film.
And Black Panther.
Because it was filmed outside our friend's workplace.
There's definitely going to be a second Black Panther. And
but they'd be stupid if they don't.
Yeah.
Like, all the characters that were killed off are really important to the MCU's future. And they can't all be set in the past. No. Like Captain Marvel, which
we're just going to go back to the 90s. So everyone...
No, I do not need to live in the 90s. No. I'm well shot of that period. So Captain Marvel comes out in February, which is the film... Now, you should probably explain this because I've not read the comics, but this film will establish time travel as a thing within the universe, right?
That's what... I mean, there's so much that could be opened up from this.
Well, given from the... what they called the post-credits scene in Avengers. Oh, God, I've got to get the name of the fucking film right. Infinity War 1. That's already kind of been established. He's using a pager to communicate with somebody.
Yeah.
And it's a character who exists in the 90s. So that's got to be a thing.
I mean, I don't want to go into the Captain Marvel stuff because there's just too much that we could do. You know,
no.
If the Skrulls are in this film, then that opens up so many Secret War ideas that...
Oh, okay.
Like, there is so much that could be opened up.
I mean, for a company that's been going for, 70 years now, Marvel? Like, of course there's going to be so much to draw on. But
literally infinite worlds that could be brought in. Right?
But there's something that's already been seeded here.
Oh, yeah.
Is time travel. And so that brings us to another theory of time travel is going to be used to retcon the events that happened in Infinity War and possibly even Avengers 2.
Oh, yeah, I think...
And Civil War. Hang on, Civil War, Avengers 3 or Captain America 3?
That's Captain America 3.
3, yeah.
All of that stuff, like time travelling back to the Battle of New York, time travelling back to Loki and the, Power Stone and the Soul Stone and the Space Stone, sorry. Like, there are so many theories out there with the time travel coming in that... Again, but how do you use that to satisfy without, again, just completely making yourself go, and is that going to be satisfying? Is bringing in something like Secret War, which is, hey, basically all of those heroes were actually alien shapeshifters all along. Is that, in the comics that works, but is that going to actually satisfy reviewers and people that have invested in these characters for 10 years or so?
Yeah, I mean, audiences are savvy now to a lot of retconning
that's not
methods.
Yeah.
And so certain things just aren't going to cut it. It was all a dream is the obvious example. I think also that, like, going back to the Tony Stark theory of if he's being saved so that he can sacrifice himself later down the line, that's very Harry Potter. It's been done. Yeah,
like you say, that would just be... I'm going to use one of my least favourite words in the world. Derivative of everything from the fucking New Testament onwards through Harry Potter and everything.
I would prefer to call it doing a Doctor Who.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah, I love Doctor Who, but the whole way that Doctor Who works is he uses time travel to fix things. And dimensional travel. Let's not forget those dimensions.
That is a really great one to bring up in this discussion, because that sometimes is absolutely subliminal. Sublime.
Subliminal
and sublime.
It's so subliminal.
No, but it is both. When it does something really well of, we're going to take this really impossible situation and write our way out of it brilliantly. It's done that fantastically in the past. But then the later seasons...
The Peter Capaldi seasons didn't... They suffered a little bit
They suffered a little because they were trying to come up with this thing that will blow you away. It's like, no, I just wanted good episodes all the way through. I didn't... And that's what the MCU's done fantastically is up until this now. For the most part, we're just going to make a good film. And actually, most of the time, you can go and watch Black Panther, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Thor Ragnarok, and just go, that was great fun film about Thor, and not come out of it going, well, what was that going to mean with blah, blah, blah.
You don't have to be too invested in the mythology, but they obviously are thinking about that when they're making it a bit to some degree. But
that's what I'm saying.
But it's not obvious,
and
so it's enjoyable.
Doctor Who is it got to the point where that is all they were doing, and they weren't making good individual episodes.
Trying to seed things that didn't have enough roots for you to really give a shit.
Like if the X-Files just, when it got too bogged down with the mythology, it did start to trudge because they weren't doing good Monsters of the Week and just good solid episodes. They were just bogging themselves down. And that's what MCU hasn't done until this point.
Yeah, it's not gone too far with the layers of intrigue.
The ones that have
a lot of things have fallen foul of.
The ones that have done, like Thor: The Dark World, which really hammered home all of that kind of Infinity Stones, and that did suffer a little bit.
But it also it had a job to do. It had to establish what the fuck is an Infinity Stone. Like, that is something that we don't really know anything about from any kind of referential point. Whereas introducing potentially time travel, everyone's got an idea of what time travel is. You know,
we've seen it enough.
You know, H.G. Wells has been around for over 100 years.
Exactly.
Like, we get that. Infinity Stones is like, what the fuck is that? So they had to. It had to be a hard-working film to get that point across.
I think that's a really and there's so much, but that's the problem. Is does Infinity War 2 have to do too much? Can it just be an entertaining story? Whereas this, like Infinity 1 was Thanos' film, that could have been a standalone film called Thanos about his journey. Okay, there are lots of scenes with the superheroes, but for the most part, it really did focus on his journey. Mm-hmm. Infinity War 2, I don't know what that is in terms of how much work it's got to do. If it's setting up, okay, the order of the films is very cleverly done. Like we said about Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther all coming out, setting up an awful lot without you knowing. The fact that Captain Marvel comes out 3 months before, there's going to be a lot of setup in that film. Again, I really don't want...
Yeah, Kevin Feige's not stupid. Yeah. He's got this...
But I really don't want Captain Marvel to suffer because it's having to do too much for Infinity War 2. And I don't think, based on the track record, they will do that.
I don't know. I'm wondering... So, like, Iron Man 2 is sort of seen as the kind of one of the weakest of the canon. So is Thor 2. So is Captain America 2.
No, Captain America the Winter Soldier did it.
Yeah, actually, that was good.
Really well done.
Because I was about to say, is this Thanos' the difficult second album?
Thanos' dick? I mean, that's the theory.
Let me say that again. What I was thinking is this Thanos' difficult second album?
It could be, but I don't think it's going to focus on Thanos. I think it's going to be probably Tony Stark's film, or one of the, it's going to be...
It could be somebody's goodbye film. It could be multiple people's goodbye film.
It's going to be an interesting... And that's where the... I just think it's... Looking at it from Stephen McFeely and Chris Markus' perspective, I mean, look on the positive side, what a fucking job. I mean, how much fun must that...
Oh my God, I really want to get in there.
That whiteboard booth, just of all the spider diagrams and bits of string across. Like, it must be so much fun to have that.
And a real head
weight, the weight of that expectation. Because, like, when has it worked? Like, we talked about Lost not working. That weight of expectation was too much for that series to bear. It was really enjoyable until they had to end it in a satisfying way, and they did not do that.
No.
We talked about Doctor Who, that has sometimes done it.
Some seasons, it's
Sometimes it is like, wow, you managed to cover all of that. You know, the weight of expectations with Star Wars. You had it first with the prequels, and that did not meet.
No.
You know, whatever you think about the prequels, they did not meet the weight of expectation after the special editions coming out of the cinema and people turning up to watch the birth of Darth Vader. They did not meet that. The Force Awakens, again, whatever you think about that film, that did. People walked out of that cinema and went, that's what I wanted. I wanted to feel that emotion when the Millennium Falcon kicks in, you know. So, yeah, I think it's a... And that's why we love sci-fi.
Well, that's the thing. Sci-fi is the genre for new ideas, which is why there are such high expectations, because we've come to expect something fresh.
Yeah. The whole point of it is...
Exactly. Like, that's it. This is the experimentation ground, really, as a genre. It's like, play with new ideas. But yeah, it's a big risk, but also it's a calculated one.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Chris Markus and Stephen McFeely knew kind of what direction they were going in.
I think it's been seeded for many years. Yeah.
But I mean, and the editor as well.
Yeah. And the Russo brothers and everything.
Obviously. When making one, they probably had two very clearly in their mind. So, yeah.
I just wonder how they're gonna. You know, we talked about sci-fi there and the pushing of new ideas and stuff like that, and I think that's when it's best. Like, Avatar pushed the technology in the worlds, and wow, seeing new worlds and stuff. But the storyline was pretty naff and pretty basic, and yeah. Whereas something like Transformers, again, it was all about the look and the feel of this. No one was going into those new films going, oh, I wonder what they're going to do about this storyline. Like, no one was thinking about the storyline, and that's why I think they fall down as sci-fi blockbusters. Like, you could really go to town on the story writing of an alien race fighting over these things. They didn't. They left the stories to be just, someone wants to fight and break stuff. And that's where the difference is of this, is those films didn't have the weight of people genuinely expecting something.
I don't know. Some people are waiting for the next Transformers. They're
waiting for the new one, the
Bumblebee.
Bumblebee, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Anyway, that's a different conversation. Yeah. So I mean, there's so many things out there that we haven't even thought about. Like, there are things that were in the trailer that are going to be in this film that tell whole other stories. So there's a part of the trailer where you see Hulk with the Avengers, and of course in Infinity War 1 he can't perform.
Yes, Joe.
So
yes.
there's theories around that as well, of like, how do they get Hulk back, and is that by using things like time travel to get rid of whatever performance anxiety he's having, or is it that they're going to address Bruce Banner and how he's become Hulk, and like things like him saying, I'm always angry. What about? And we know from the comics that there's a lot for him to be angry about. But are they going to start addressing that? And is it going to be more about a personal story? Oh god, this I should go. But yeah, storytelling wise, I think they've got to keep it fairly simple, because there's so much going on. There's so many different threads. Really, whatever decision they set upon for it to be the actual plot, it's got to be actually something fairly simple to counteract all that information.
I think it's going to be titled Infinity War Daddy Issues.
Okay, go on.
Well, if you look at it, so Nebula and Gamora and Thanos, daddy issues. Well, the whole wider thing there. Like, Guardians of the Galaxy all have some form of daddy issues.
And that was nicely brought up in Avengers.
Exactly.
Infinity War 1, yeah.
Black Panther, all about daddy issues.
Yeah.
Iron Man, Captain America, the whole of Civil War, all about daddy issues. The Hulk, in the comics and stuff, there's been storylines where his rage was the reason of the Hulk, and the Gamma just to let it out, but that was all down to daddy issues. And his dad beating his mum and all this kind of stuff.
Black Widow was quite obviously given away.
Yeah.
So parental and carer issues.
Yeah. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man. There's
yeah.
his daughter. There's a lot of. So is it going to be just a group therapy session where they all kind of talk about their daddy issues?
Infinity War 2, narcissistic dads.
Narcissistic dad. There you go. Like, that's exactly what it is. But I think it's a really, like, that's the type of thing at this point where theories are, you can, like the number 23.
I do know about its existence, yes.
Not the film, but the whole idea of, if you're looking for the number 23, you will find it everywhere.
Yeah.
Everything you look into. And it's like these theories of, you could watch the entire of the MCU back and probably in some way, shape or form relate it to Doctor Who or to Buffy, or there are probably nods and seeds and stuff that you can create a decent enough theory, like I just did with the daddy issues and the whole idea of narcissistic dad.
Oh, it's the one I'm running with now. Yeah, that's my new favourite theory.
I think it's really interesting because that's what theories create, is you can just bring them up out of nowhere, and they're not actually what we want. None of these theories that are up on there are really what we want. We want something that completely shocks us, that we get to the end of that film and go, wow, I've never seen that. That is boundary pushing, that is landmark story. Like, that's what we want. And I think they did it with Infinity War 1. I've never seen a blockbuster have the villain as the centre and the villain genuinely winning at the end. Like,
and the emotional connection that everybody felt, like, that was... The emotional connection everybody felt, that was really powerful. And it's an action film, and we were all going, oh my God, no, not them! Like,
oh God! Like,
what we thought was the impossible happened.
When T'Challa goes and her face, it's like, oh no.
Yeah, like, the thing is, the only way it really is down.
Yeah, exactly. That's. But then, haven't we felt that before? Haven't we? And
well,
when you came out of Thor Ragnarok, was there this worry of like, oh my God, is Black Panther gonna be able to be as good as that?
And then after Black Panther, is Infinity War gonna be? Yeah.
And they've done a very clever thing with Ant-Man and the Wasp of just kind of going, little play, bit fine, fun. We're not even trying to be anywhere near these films.
Well, you say that, but then in their post-credit scene, they introduce a whole other thing that I'd never even considered, because I haven't read the comics. I never even thought about quantum theory being in the MCU, because I don't think about quantum theory ever. It's not really a part of my daily thought process.
It should be. Mate.
Sorry. Well, I mean, I'm small, so yeah, it should be. I should start calling myself... Maybe I should be like a vigilante, and my name would be Quantum.
And you could ride one of those arthropod things.
Scooter.
No, what are the bits of bacteria that look like weird bear?
No, a scooter. I will ride a scooter.
Okay. Joe really wants a scooter, so maybe that can be the end of Infinity War, is Joe and Thanos riding off on a little scooter.
Why would I go with Thanos?
I just feel like he's going to survive.
Because I will lead climate change away from everyone. I like that.
I feel like he's going to survive.
What, do you think he's going to have, like, a change of heart?
No.
Oh, I was wrong all along. We could just not kill half of the universe.
No, I
Sorry.
don't...
I'm so bad.
I feel like we'd have to do another episode.
Oh, everyone's alive again.
If we wanted to posit our actual genuine theories. But, yeah, it's a really interesting thing. And it's odd that it's only really with sci-fi, isn't it? Like, that kind of... As you said, no one watches any of the Die Hard series or the Rocky series or really those types of films and goes in going, I really hope they do this at the end of that film,
or I really hope they resolve this, or
they go into it and go, he's probably going to get in the ring and either win or lose a fight, and then if he loses a fight he'll have another fight later
and win,
or it will end on a freeze frame during the fight, like that's there's not people,
a big Rocky fan, eh?
I think the first few they're very good films, and Ryan Coogler did fantastic work in reinvigorating that series. Yes. So very looking forward to Creed 2. But yeah, I just think that it's interesting that the weight is on these types of films, and we've never seen it this like before. And maybe it's out there for Avatar. Maybe people are really wondering what unobtainium and other weird ores are going to mean for Jake Tully. Oh wow, I pulled that out. I think that was his name.
I think Tully is
Jake Sully or Jake Tully. There you go.
Yeah, wow.
Well, okay. I remembered Sam Worthington's name in there.
Yeah. You remembered Sam Worthington's name.
On that bombshell.
I think next episode we'll deal with the mythology of Avatar.
Yeah, let us know. Are you really clamouring for the Avatars 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7?
What are your expectations for Infinity Part 2? Infinity War Part 2?
Yeah. And your theories, please. We, from MCU, comic book fan, anyone, we just want to know what your theories are, because we're kind of obsessing over it at the moment.
Thanks for listening. Get in touch with us on Twitter or on Instagram at JudgeCast, and listen on the thing that you're listening right now on. Thanks.
We're gonna get on Joe's little scooter and ride off into the sunset.
Down the steep hill that we live on. No, it's a pedal scooter.
Oh.
Save carbon.